Hey guys, let's look at doing a box and whisker plot on the TI84 calculator. Let me drop this down some. Some data sets include values so high or so low that they seem to stand apart from the rest of the data. These are called outliers. Outliers may represent data collection errors, data entry errors, or simply valid but unusual data values. It's important to identify outliers in the data set and examine the outliers carefully to determine if they are in error. One way to detect outliers is to use a box and whisker plot. Data values that fall beyond the limits 1.5 interquartile ranges below the first quartile or above the third quartile are suspected outliers. I will show you how to put a box and whisker plot together with and without outliers displayed. I went ahead and, in the interest of time, entered in these 24 values in the table here. To get there, you do stat edit. Remember, if you need to clear out a column worth of data, you go arrow up to the top of the column, hit clear and enter. In L1, I've put all 24 values of this table in there. Once you enter that, be very careful to enter all of them correctly. Double, triple check. It is worth the extra time that it takes. Okay, now to turn this feature on for your calculator, you go second y equals go into plot 1, hit enter, turn it on, and then under type, right arrow. This fifth option, the one at the second row in the middle, is a box and whisker plot without without outliers present. The one to its left will show any outliers in your data. Because of the WebAssign problem, none of them have an asterisk denoting an outlier. We're going to go with that fifth value. I'm going to hit enter to lock that one in. Make sure your X list is L1. It needs to read that. And then hit zoom. And the ninth option is zoom stat. So you can hit 9. I'm going to go back in and clear that function. I didn't need the graph of it. But you can see the box and whisker plot. I'm going to clear that out. Zoom 9. By doing zoom stat, your calculator reads all those entries in your L1 column and appropriately labels them. Now, remember from the box and whisker video that's in your YouTube channel, the one right before this one actually, you have a low, a Q1, a median, a Q3, and a high. If you hit trace using your left and right arrow, you can find your five number summary along the bottom of your screen. The minimum value is 4. Q1, the first quartile or 25th percentile, is 61.5. The median or second quartile, which is your 50th percentile, is 65.5. Your upper quartile, Q3, which is the 75th percentile, is 71.5. And then finally, your highest value is 80. And that is the 5-number summary that many times you are asked to find. Remember, your interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1. 71.5 minus 61.5. If you look here in answer B, I've entered 10. That's the difference between Q3 and Q1. The box and whisker that matched the one we have on our calculator well, at least for my homework set, goodness gracious, was the bottom right one. The low end, approximately 4. Oh, actually, that's the bottom left one, my bad. 4 for the minimum. Q1 was at 61.5. The median was 65.5. Q3 and high, etc. So you just have to be careful to match up the correct values with the scale along the bottom. Now, as far as outliers go, you can tell that the left or low end whisker is really long. If you go back to second y equals, and you go back into that first stat plot, if we change the type to the first one, notice that it's got dots. That's a box and whisker plot that will show any outliers. See how the low end is shrunk up, and we've got a little mark out here where the 4 is. That denotes an outlier. Now let's get to the math part of the outlier. Okay, so Q1 was 61.5. If you take 61.5 minus 1.5 times 10, that's 61.5 minus 15, that's 46.5. Any data point less than 46.5 is considered an outlier. That's on the low end. Now, if you take Q3, which is 71.5, plus 1.5 times 10, and again, the reason I'm doing that is up here, these are the formulas for the lower and upper quartiles. So that's all I'm doing is just following that. 71.5 plus 1.5 times 10 is 71.5 plus 15, which is 86.5, and that's what I've entered in the upper limit box. 4 was lower than 46.5, so as far as any outliers are concerned, 4 is below the lower limit and probably an error. If we had any data points larger than 86.5, which we don't, none of these are larger than 86.5, we would have some upper outliers, but this one only had a lower outlier. Okay, and so that's how you do it on a TI84. Be very careful if your graph does not show outliers in the ones you have to choose from. Just be sure that you pick this one. If you are supposed to show outliers, pick this one.